Hello. I am Lisa Wilby, and the Kite LBI International Kite Festival is scheduled for Columbus Day weekend, 2022. It's our 8th year of this event, and it's October 7th through October 9th of this coming year.
We're all looking forward to it.
I have a lot of international kite flyers that are already contacting me and want to come and want to be part of this event. We call it the International Kite Festival because in the past, from the beginning, we've had many of our Canadian kite flyers attend the festival, most of them living in my house. And they come because they just love, sharing their passion for kiting with us. And so that's why it has become the International Kite Festival. But now we've also had kite flyers from Germany, from Australia, Tasmania to be exact.
Oh, wow.
From France and from Colombia as well, come to the festival in the past. So we really have a lot of interest in the worldwide kiting community at this point for this festival. I'm an international kite flyer, so I do travel around the world as an invited guest to many of the kite festivals, as well as an international judge. So I get to interact with a lot of kite flyers from around the world. And they're all very excited about what we do here. And they've heard so many beautiful stories about how open the community is here, how the community enjoys this festival so much. And their passion is about making people happy when they see kites. So many of the kite flyers from any country around the world, no matter what language they speak, that's what they want to do. And so they've heard so many great stories about LBI at this point.
Yeah, it's a beautiful island and the beaches are gorgeous. So so there's different types of kites, ones that you fly indoors, ones that you fly on the beach. Why don't you tell us a little about, and the night ones, the night flying kites too.
Okay. The LBI Kite Festival has an indoor part of our event and a night fly, as well as the kite show that happens on the beach on Saturday and Sunday during the day. So we also even have a kite making for master level kite makers workshop that probably most of the public does not know about, that I also run for it as a 2-day workshop that's part of our event. And that really does, pique the interest of a lot of international master kite makers from around the world that come and do that part of our kite festival. Indoor kites, the indoor is on Friday night, and the indoor is an indoor show. We fly various different kinds of kites to music. The kites are made lightweight, but they're same size really as regular kites that you would see outside. Okay. But they're made with lightweight materials, and you're flying on short lines, and you're always moving away from the kite to create the same lift that the wind would give you if you were outside. And the better you are, the less movement you have, and the more graceful the kite looks flying without wind. It's a very athletic activity, but it's the better you are, the more beautiful and graceful it is. And it's a pretty unique thing to see because, people can't imagine how kites can be flown inside.
Exactly.
We fly 2-line kites, 4-line kites, and glider kites inside. So various different types of kites that we fly, and different ways of flying them when you fly indoors.
So 2-line versus 4-line, does that just give you more control that you can do?
The 4-line gives you a little more control. The 2-line allows you to do more tricking. Okay. So you can make the kite do different kinds of tricks, turns and spins. And indoor, you do a lot of throws and grabs and tosses with a kite. A single-line kite would be more of a glider, and you would glide through the gym or through the air, pulling the kite and always letting it, fall, and then pulling it again so that it continues to have its glide. So there's a technique to it, and there's a grace to it. And it's quite beautiful if you see it done right. Many of our kite flyers are very experienced in flying indoor. They're very talented flyers that have won awards around the world. I have flown internationally with different organizations, including the the Muppets, the people that do the Hensons, that do the Muppets.
Oh, have fun.
A couple other different big organizations, Kite Man Productions, that are doing the big kite show in Disney right now. I've flown with them.
Oh,
I've flown around the world for different reasons. I've flown for royal families and presidents, and on Broadway. So it can be, indoor kiting is much more of a demonstration of art, of performance art. So it's pretty fun and beautiful. It's my passion. I love indoor flying.
It's absolutely beautiful. They're just so graceful floating, and it's just beautiful to watch.
I'm glad to be able to bring that to our community. For the Kite Festival, since the first Kite Festival, I have organized going into our local schools to show the kids that you can fly kites indoors. Kind of under the premise of, if you could fly a kite indoor, you can pretty much do anything in life. And I have some pretty amazing kite flyers, including a NASA engineer that comes and performs for the kids of our community, and shows them about indoor kiting and talks about the Kite Festival during the Kite Fest weekend. So that's part of one of the things that is close to my heart, and bringing that to our local kids.
What about the adults? Do you have classes for beginner adults?
I have taught classes around the world for indoor kiting, yes, with adults. And I always say it takes 20 minutes to learn and a lifetime to succeed at it. So I'm still trying. But it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to learn. I mean, I do classes for adults.
Because
I've done them many places.
The last time I flew a kite was, maybe 20 years ago. It's like, it would be fun to try it again, but with some instruction.
Yeah,
it looks like a lot of fun. So the night flying, tell us a little about that.
The night fly is held at the lighthouse, and it's obviously our landmark place on our island. So I'm very proud to have it there. And the backdrop is so beautiful with the lighthouse being lit up at night. The kites are the same kites that you see during the day, but the kite flyers will put lights on them, which means that they fly differently. For the kiters, it's a difficult thing to do. A night fly, you can't see what you're doing. You can't see the kites. The lights adds a weight to some of them, so that it changes how they're flown. But they love doing it, and it's a beautiful display. We've had, for the last 7 years, we've had too much wind. When I mean too much, we had 45-mile-an-hour wind after a hurricane, and we've also had no wind, in which I flew indoor kites during that event. So it's pretty crazy that our island, and over the different years on the same exact weekend, can have such a diverse weather pattern. But my kite flyers are very professional, and they pretty much arrive at LBI with everything in their cars and their bags that they can fly in any wind condition. The bigger kites cannot fly over 15 miles an hour winds, the big inflatable kites. But you'll see some medium-sized kites during the night fly. If anybody remembers, last year we had a lot of wind from a very difficult direction, so the kites were very difficult to fly, but the kiters pulled it off. A little less kites up in the air than if the winds were better. But every year it's a wind related event. So
we do our best. A lot of wind on the island.
Yeah. We do our best with what we have.
Especially up by the lighthouse, there's a lot of wind.
Yes. And it comes from different directions there. So but we do have kite flyers that do lighted ground displays as well. So there's a lot going on during the night fly. And I think the public that have come have always walked away, amazed and loved what they saw. So it is a huge task for the kiters to do that, because they're already exhausted from the day. And I'm asking them to continue till 8:30 at night, putting lights on their kites and flying in crazy winds sometimes, or no wind is just as hard as flying in heavy wind. So it's a lot, and I'm very thankful for many of them for doing doing the night fly, because it's the end of the weekend and they're exhausted by then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah, it's so much fun. It's just the gigantic ones that are on the beach, like that gigantic whale and the big
Yeah.
octopus. How do they even
Those
reach those?
kites, those kites are actually, many of them are handmade. The dragon kites and the owls were made by a gentleman from Germany, and he's been to our festival many years. With COVID, he wasn't here, but he'll be again this coming year. These are all handmade on a sewing machine. The giant whale is handmade from a kite company called Peterlin Kites in New Zealand, and those kites are handmade, custom made. They're inflatable kites, so they're actually have different cells in them, so that the wind will go into the different cells, and they'll basically inflate so that they will rise. The kite will rise, and depending on the wind, there's zippers on those kites, so they allow the wind to come out of them so that they can fly stably. There's also a kite that's on the top of that kite that is called the lifter kite. And that kite actually is the anchor, like you would have on a boat. So the anchor, or the lifter, is what is basically anchoring that big, massive kite in the sky, and holding it where the kite flyer wants it to stay. If the anchor ever goes, then the kite no longer flies. So that's kind of how it works. It takes a team to fly many of them. So
how dangerous is it?
My kite flyers are the kite flyers that I have are very professional. They've been doing this for years around the world. We do not use any metal anchors that are in the sand. Everything is buried in the sand. So all of the sand anchors, we put sand in a bag basically, and then bury them so that nothing can pull free. So there's no metal ever used on our island. That's one of my kite flyers won't do that. So yes, the kites that if they come free can be a problem. Last year on the Sunday, the wind was very, very bad and very strong in the direction of the spectators. So even though we didn't have rain, we did have the issue of if a kite breaks free, where will it go? And we called the event and we canceled the event during the day because of the need to make sure that the spectators were safe.
Yeah.
You never know. So sport kites, however, can fly in anything. That's what I do. I don't use massive bags to anchor my kites in like the big kite flyers do. I show with my little bag of sport kites and I fly. But sport kites can pretty much fly in from 0 to, I have kites that will fly in 50 miles an hour wind. Not that I want to fly in that kind of wind because it's a lot, but I do have kites that will do that.
Are sports kites a different shape than the other ones? Are they like a standard shape?
So usually they're either a dual line kite, which has two lines, like the kite in the background. That's a 2-line kite, and those kites do a lot of tricks. So you can make them fall out of the sky. You can make them stop where you want them to go. You can make them do spins and turns, and usually to music. A 4-line kite is very maneuverable, and you can actually stop because the air moves across the sail equally. You can actually make that kite stay in one position in one place. And that's when you see, if you've been to LBI, you've seen teams of kite flyers fly standing next to each other, and will fly maneuvers or patterns with those kites because they're very, maneuverable, and we can keep them where we want them to go. A 2-line kite generally flies in one direction or the other, and you have to dump the air out of it to make it stop. So it takes a lot more effort to fly a 2-line kite. We do have 2-line teams. I'm an international world judge for sport kite teams, and up to 6 to 8 kite flyers will fly in a team of kites, 2-line kites, and they'll do maneuvers to the music or to figures in the sky. So it's very similar to figure skating, if people have watched that. Also have kite flyers that are known for their art, and they basically use kites as their canvas in the sky, and they do artwork on the kites, very unique designs for people from around the world. We have artists from Canada, from Germany, from France, from the United States, all over the country that come here to display their art, their ideas, their techniques, their applique techniques, and different kinds of things on their kites. And they're amazing and beautiful. LBI is an invited event, so the kite flyers are handpicked. They're invited flyers.
Okay.
Many will ask me, can they come? A lot of kites, they all come on their own, dime. They come on their own, how they get here. I try to give them housing, which is hard. We try to feed them as much as we can with our sponsorship money. The housing is so difficult to making sure that if they'll come on their own, they'll buy their own plane tickets, or, they'll drive from all over the country, or they'll fly from the country or fly from other places. But to give them housing is really what I look for, to make sure that they can get here and they can be able to, put up a beautiful display.
So if somebody on the island that has a house that they're not using in October, could they give you a call and offer it?
I would be so incredibly thankful.
Okay.
And my kite flyers would be incredibly thankful. I think this coming year, 2022, will be a big year because we're away from COVID, we hope. And
yes.
I have a lot of kite flyers from around the world who want to come. I have an entire team from the West Coast, from Washington State, that wants to come. I have a kite team from Colombia. I have a kite team from France that wants to come. So I think we're going to have a big year. I hate to say no to people because I think the more kite flyers we have, the more LBI is on the map of being a very unique place of coming to fly kites.
Yeah.
We've become quite a large kite festival, one of the largest in the country.
Oh, wow.
And to be able to attract the quality kite flyers that are calling me is pretty astounding. So yes, anybody who would love to would give me housing for my kite flyers. We'll be making friends with kite flyers from around the world. And if you house them, you'll probably be invited to wherever they live afterwards.
Right. I know. And how fun to be able to talk to somebody who does this and from another country. Is just so fun to offer your house.
I have local residents that have already done that. I have friends that are French Canadians that have housed some of my French Canadian friends. I have people that have housed some of my other kite flyers from the US, and they all love what they did, because now they're friends with these people and they get to go and visit with them when they go on vacations, when they're away. So it's kind of cool.
It's so exciting.
A good way of meeting people.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And hopefully some restaurants will donate some food. And
that would be also helpful. Thank you to anyone. This is a great event. And I think, what I've learned from this is a community event. This is about putting on something that's great for our community. You can come with your grandkids, your children, your dog.
So fun. Yeah.
It's what I see when I go to Europe. There's a kite festival I do in Europe every year. There 800,000 people come to watch people fly kites, and they bring their picnic basket and their blanket and their dog and their kids. And that's what I would envision for LBI. And it's, and for us to be known for our hospitality and our openness and our smiles on the beach while we're watching it, that's what we want the rest of the world to see.
Yeah. And sitting on that beach with the ocean in the background, the kites are in the sky, there's people everywhere. It is really a fun event. So. And
remember, that goes back with my kite flyers. They go to whatever country they're from or whatever state they're from. Mm-hmm. And they say, wow, I was at LBI and the people really love this. Yeah. So that's what you're giving. Our community is giving back to them as much as they're giving to us.
Yeah.
And, I'm thankful for that.
It's a great event. It really is. Thank you so much for bringing it to the island, because, before we never had anything like that.
No. And I do events all over the world, and that's what yeah, I kind of bring a little piece of each of those here.
Yeah.
What I liked, what I didn't like, we've had a wind art demonstration at LBI for the last few years as well, by a local artist from here, as well as an artist from Canada that does recycled art, wind art. And that's something very typical of the kite festival you'd see in Europe. So there's little aspects of what all the festivals that I've gone to around the world, there's little pieces of that in LBI. And that's what we want to bring back to the kite flyers and to the community, and is this community-ness of, when you look up in the sky, there's no way you're going to have a bad day if you come to see the kites flying.
How do you fund this?
Funding is by local sponsorships, by local businesses on the island. We're very thankful for all of the sponsors that we have. The LBI Chamber helps with the sponsorships as well. We have, believe it or not, several local ladies from the LBI Film Festival helps to feed some of the kite flyers. They actually give me a dinner for the kite flyers on Thursday night, which is the day that a lot of the people are starting to travel in. So I have local people that offer their own services, money, food, time. I have local people that are friends of mine that have given me houses to host kite flyers. I'm so thankful for them. Without them, I don't think we could do this. Mayor Mancini actually also gives me it's a hotel that he houses the lifeguards during the summer. I have access to that for my kite flyers during the kite festival, which I'm very thankful for. Housing is a big thing for the kite flyers. If we can house them, they happily come. Many of them also rent houses on our island at their own expense, or rent hotel rooms. The Drifting Sands has given me free rooms for some of the kite flyers, as well as discounted rooms for the kite flyers. Some other hotels on the island have also given me rooms for the kite flyers throughout the years, and I'm very thankful for them for that as well. And I know that's hard because, this island it's difficult, particularly after COVID, and particularly giving anything to anyone is a financial burden on the businesses. But I think that we bring a lot of business to the island during that weekend. And I think a lot of people come for the entire week, actually, I've heard now. So I'm thankful for that. If anything that helps the businesses have another great week, in their restaurants and in their cafes and in their rental houses, that's also awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
telling us all about Kite Fest, and I will definitely be there. I'll bring my cameras and I'll be filming, and
Good. Oh, good.
and we can interview all the kite flyers. That would be fun to listen to their stories, where they're from, what they do for a living.
That would really be fun.
It would be really fun. I would really enjoy that because I love Kite Fest. I just think it's such a great event. So I will.
Once I have a better idea who's coming, I'm actually thinking of running a couple little articles about the different kite flyers in the sandpaper, just to introduce, some of the unique flyers
before they even come here. We can all summer long. We can do Zoom and talk to them, and
that would be a great idea. Yeah.
That way people can get to know them before they even come here.
Yeah. I will be going to Italy next month for a big kite festival, and a lot of them will be there, including a few that will be coming to LBI. So the excitement has already started.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then once we get, to know them ahead of time, it's going to be easier to have people open their houses.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this year we're going to have so many kite flyers, and I won't have enough places for them. And I really don't want to turn people down.
It's 18 miles long. You can put them all over the aisle.
I know.
Well, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to interview with you.
Thanks for letting me interview you.
All right.
I'll see you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.